You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the interactive interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com. Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Interactive Interview on the interactiveinterview.com, courtesy of ProWrestling.com. Today we're going to vary it up a little bit and bring to you one of the most creative men in the world of wrestling. Adam Ryland, the creator of the Extreme Warfare series, most notably the recent release of Total Extreme Warfare. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm well, but that's quite a billion you've given me there, most creative man.
It's true. I mean, alongside a few other people on the internet, you managed to co-create a cult of sorts, you could say.
Well, I'm a cult leader as well. Excellent.
Just for those who don't know much about you, and maybe listening to find out about the game itself for the first time, can you just kind of give a little rundown on maybe yourself and your accomplishments and a bit of a biography of yourself?
Sure. Well, it all started about 8 years ago when I was writing card games, and they were wrestling promoter sims, so you were the owner and you bought and sold wrestlers. But they ended up so big with like thousands of cards that I always seemed to lose some of them, so I decided to put on a computer a bit quicker. And it sort of grew from there. I did the college project, then the university project, made it freeware on the internet, and it became quite popular. And recently, I did the first professional version, which was Total Extreme Warfare, which was released last Wednesday.
First of all, how was the pickup and the buying, the demand, I should say, for the game Total Extreme Warfare been?
It's been quite popular so far. It's exceeded what I thought it would do.
Excellent. That's good news. Of course, Total Extreme Warfare can be checked out on the internet at www.totalextremewarfare.com. Am I correct?
That's it, yeah.
Indeed. Just a couple of things that I want to quickly. I'll put this in later on in the interview, but a couple of people have asked. Obviously, I know the answer to this question. Some people might not. So, what are the specifics, the specifications for the game, and how much does it cost?
It costs $34.95. That's dollars, not pounds. You can purchase online from the TotalExtremeWarfare.com. We recommend 512 megabytes of RAM. You can play it with less than that, but you have to turn game areas off, because the game itself covers North America, Mexico, United Kingdom. You can turn individual pieces off. So we recommend if you're running less than that, you take some of them and turn them off. Just a bit faster.
And can, obviously I know the answer to this question as well, given that I'm English, and it's an American price, but can international buyers buy the game?
Yeah, they can, as long as they've got a credit card.
Excellent.
There's full details on the website, talks you through how to do it.
Very good. I'm just going to kind of step back a bit and talk about some of your earlier games for a second.
Sure.
Because the first thing that I played by you was EWD, which is back a long time ago.
Yeah, that's very
now, I personally preferred that to EWR, but I found out that obviously Total Extreme Warfare has completely blown, that out of the water. But my question, though, is what was the development, the process of the development that has gotten through from day one through to TEW now?
Well, originally it was very small. It was a black and white game. It literally had like 5 lines of text on the screen. And it was written in, I think, QBasic, which is like the most basic program ever. I think I wrote it in a weekend, and it was just horrible. I've still got it somewhere. It's probably an antique by now. And from there, I moved into Turbo Pascal, which is not the best language in the world, but it's good for learning. And I was doing that while I was at college, because I said, learn a programming language, and I found it easier if I was to write a wrestling game. And every time I learned a new technique, I'd add it to the game. So by the end, I had a huge game, but it was an absolute mess, because there were so many different things in it. It was just untrue. That lasted about 2 years, and that was the original just Extreme Warfare the titles were. And it went up in Extreme Warfare 2000, 6000, 9000, not for any other reason than I enjoy adding thousands to games. Makes them sound better. And then Turbo Pascal actually has a limit on it of how many lines of code you can have. And I actually reached that, and so I had to start again. But rather than use Pascal, which is rubbish, I moved on to Visual Basic, and that's what the Extreme Warfare Revenge series was written in, and Total Extreme Warfare now.
I personally got interested in Sims before I played EWD. I played games like TNM7, and then I played Zeus, which I used for an EFED like in 1998 or something. But I just want to grab your opinion on some of those Sims and some maybe other ones that you've played in their competitions.
There aren't that many of them. I actually won TNM7 in a competition once in a magazine, Power Slam. So that's how I got that. And it's a good program. It's more for making match reports, which isn't really my thing. But it's a good program. There was one called Rampage Wrestling, which must be about 20 years old now.
Sure. But
it's hilarious, because things like chickens fall out of the sky and use as weapons. Any game that has poultry as a weapon is good with me. And then with Promotion Wars, which is a decent sim, it came out after Extreme Warfare. I believe the creator actually started me as someone he took ideas from. And that was a good program, but it was a bit simplistic at the time. Not really my thing either. I think that's about it really. There aren't any other good wrestling sims out there.
It's a pretty niche market you've managed to corner pretty well, would you say?
Yeah.
Now, most recently you teamed up for the reason you managed to bring out TW was that you teamed up with .400 Software Studios.
Yep.
But how did that little affiliation come about?
They actually contacted me because apparently someone had mentioned my game a couple of times on their message boards. So they wrote to me and said, do you want to do a game with us? And I said yes. And it sort of went from there. It was very quick. It was all sorted out within a week, which was pretty amazing.
No regrets?
None at all, no. It's been great. Probably one of the reasons I got into programming to begin with was to do the best game I possibly could. And by joining 400, I got access to resources I never had before. And I can do games like Total Extreme Warfare.
How long have you been writing codes?
For Total Extreme Warfare?
Yeah.
I started design in August 2003. I must start coding at the start of September. And I finished about 2 weeks ago.
Was you always, because of course the set release date was always the first quarter of 2004, and you managed to obviously take it right to the end, putting it out on the final day of that deadline. Was that always the plan? Or?
That was always the plan, yeah.
Very clever. Now, one of the most important questions that people have put up when we put that we was going to be interviewing Adam Ryland was that the main heart of the game is based around the booking and the time-based system, as well as being obviously from different countries and stuff. But how hard was it to implement a way of doing time-based sort of time-based play without making it seem monotonous?
That was one of the main challenges, because one problem people had with the original Extreme Warfare games was booking took quite a while. You had to put together a match, and if you got it wrong, you had to delete it and do it again. So one of my main goals was to make this one as user interaction as good as possible on this, so they could modify whatever they wanted. And to be honest, doing time actually worked into that really well, because moving times around, it doesn't really matter. But if it's 10 minutes long, it doesn't matter at the start of the show or the end of the show. It's 10 minutes long. It's actually harder doing it the way I used to do, which was segments. So this was actually much easier.
And Rob Gothic from the UKFF forums wants to know why the decision came about to make TW a pay game against the former freeware games that you made.
Well, essentially it's time. I've been working on this 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. And obviously I can't have a 9-to-5 job on top of that, so if I'm working on it professionally, it makes sense the game, as a professional game, should be paid for.
And how did you come about with the price range? Is that what...
all 400 games, which is $34.95.
Yeah. Rob Gothic also wants to know your thoughts and opinions on the people out there who are trying to crack the game and try and get it for free.
Oh, well, obviously I'm not too happy with it, although at the moment I haven't seen anyone who has cracked it. Because we use e-license, which is one of the world's most secure online encryptions. And so far I haven't seen anyone who has managed to crack it.
What kind of feedback are you getting on the game so far?
So far it's quite positive. But the problem was, most of my fan base is quite young. And a lot of them I don't think got the intent of this game was to be very detailed and in-depth. This is for the person who will play a game for like a month 2 months, 3 months, and still be getting extra statistics and really getting into the game. It's not something you can play for like an hour over your lunch. So I think a lot of the younger fans didn't quite realise that this is a major investment. You have to spend weeks on this to really get the most from it. So I think in that way, a lot of them gave me some negative feedback, but I think I kind of misunderstood what the point was.
What would you say has been the most asked question, or the few most asked questions since the game was released?
Major one would be, can I have a free copy? And I have a standing answer of no for that. Within about like an hour of being released, I had an inbox of about 7 people who gave me like sob stories about how they had no money and could I please give them. But to be honest, I'm sure 1 or 2 of them were genuine, but equally 5 or 6 probably weren't. They were just looking for freebie. So you have to say no to everybody.
Is there a way that people who don't have credit cards or don't want to put their credit card information online because they don't trust it or whatnot, is there a way that they can purchase the game?
Yeah, you can do it by money order, which is much safer.
Now, with the game being released, obviously it wasn't licensed for WWE, etc., etc., etc. And people like Ravex and stuff have made the real-world updates and stuff. But are any of those guys affiliated to you at all?
Oh no. No, very careful about that, because if we were affiliated, we'd be breaking the law. So.
I see. Cool. Another question coming in from the UKFF forums from Terry Nutkins. It says, do you think there's any real future in a more broad market for wrestling-based simulators, or is it merely just a small niche market that attracts a specific bunch of people?
I think it's always going to be a niche market, just because of the way wrestling works. It does sort of appeal to young fans, probably 12 to 18-year-olds. And generally that isn't the sort of people who will buy a statistical game. If you look at the other 400 games, for example, they do American football, basketball, hockey, etc. They have much older fan bases than the wrestling game would.
Would there be any chance of maybe, if any interest picked up, would you take it to the supermarket shelves as such?
Yeah, I'm sure 400 would love it if we've got enough interest to do that. But at the moment, it's such a niche market that online's the only way to go.
How did you come up with all the creative names and stuff in the game? Because, obviously I've played it and I've done the 24-hour download, and when I go back home after the Easter break, I'm going to buy it and that. But some of the made-up names are brilliant.
Basically what we have, there's, I think it's about 3,000 first names and then about 5,000 surnames, and it randomly sticks them together. That's the generated people. And then on top of that, there's people like the Lobster Warrior and the Calamari Kid, and those are just me sitting around being really bored. I've had like 8 months to do this, so I kept a notepad by the side of my bed, and every time something came up, write it down. And frankly, some of them are just, I think I may have had like, maybe some cheese or something put into bed and wake up and have a crazy idea. It goes down the pad.
For those listening now, that because of course the game was released last week, that downloaded it, heard about it and downloaded it on the day, haven't gone back to your website since, haven't checked out the forums. Are there any updates or bug fixes or anything like that come out since, or any?
Yeah, we've actually done. There's been 4 separate patches so far, because a lot of the problems were memory errors, because the game is quite big and a lot of people, I don't think, realised just how intensive it was going to be.
Yeah.
So we've addressed some of the memory problems and some of the more common errors people have found. We've added a bunch of angles because people weren't happy with the amount of angles that started there. I think there was 120 to begin with, and I've added 70 since then. There's going to be several more patches where we've actually opened up a forum and people can suggest angles they want to see in the game. And so I'm hoping by the end we'll have a database of 600, 700 angles, so it's going to be everything you can think of will be in the game.
Well, following on from that, was there anything that maybe you wanted to have in the game that you couldn't, or anything along those lines?
The major one was the play-by-play. Originally, I really wanted to do a more naturalistic one, so it appeared like a Scott Keith-Arant. I'm sure most people have read him. But when we got to it, it was just absolute hell, because there's a match editor, and there's so many different variations that doing play-by-play in a naturalistic style was just impossible, because so many things can happen. So I changed instead to a move-by-move basis, which works well. I mean, it's just not as good as I would have liked it to be.
In your time creating all these games, how many times would you say you've been asked by people to make it sort of more along the WWE SmackDown lines, where people, you can see the wrestlers fighting on the screen?
Oh, so many times. That's like the number one email you get is, when are you at it so you can see the wrestlers? It's like, oh no. I'm not sure quite to understand how hard that would be.
Yeah. Do you play the SmackDown games themselves?
Yeah, I do. I have my PlayStation on at the moment.
Favorite wrestling game of all time, which is it?
I actually like the SmackDown series a lot. I think Def Jam Vendetta was quite good as well. I think it's kind of a stigma on the internet, but if it isn't Japanese, it can't be good. But I disagree with that. I think SmackDown's a great game.
What did you think of games like WWE, for example, No Mercy for Nintendo 64?
Haven't played that one.
Haven't played that one. You got to get it.
Oh, I've only got a PlayStation.
Ah, okay. All
I
right.
played some Japanese ones as well, came out on Dreamcast and stuff, and they're good. And excellent even, but I just don't see why, if it's got a WWE license, it has to instantly be, oh, it's not as good as Japan. Because I find them just really good, especially with two-player. I think SmackDown's a blast.
So anybody out there who wants to buy you No Mercy 64 and an N64, will they get a free copy of the game?
We'll discuss it.
So you can contact Adam for his website. One question that I thought would be an interesting one, do you actually play the game yourself?
That's a strange, because I do play it as I'm testing so I can do bugs, but by the time you're finished, I've been working on this game for like 8 months now. Not only do I know how to do everything, but I've played it so much and I've done everything so many times to get rid of errors, it just becomes more of a chore. That's why I really wish someone else would release a really good wrestling game, so I'd love to play it, a good strategy game.
During your time coding all, the entire series, have any wrestlers contacted you regarding the game, like with praise or any kind of feedback?
Yeah, with most famous would be Trish Stratus, who I spoke to. But other than that, I've heard some people like Rey Mysterio plays it. Well, I haven't confirmed that. I've now actually spoken to him. That's what we've heard. A lot of independent wrestlers have contacted me asking to be in the game.
Have you had, have any of those maybe contributed with the stats or anything? Or how actually do you decide the stats? Because, imagine that probably, certain people would disagree with your judgment of, X wrestler versus, this other wrestler.
Yeah, when it was Extreme Warfare, they were real wrestlers. I don't think many people complained about the more famous ones, like the WWE wrestlers. That's because I actually seen them. With a lot of the independents, I was working from match reports I read on the internet. So basically, I was channeling someone else's opinion. What was that?
Are you pleased, therefore, that in this new game you don't have to actually do that and you get to, customize?
Oh, it's fantastic. No one can complain that the Lobster Warrior has the wrong stats because no one knows who he is.
You never know, you might pop up in, you'll probably pop up in WWE sometime soon.
Oh no, I want to be copyrighted because I can see him now setting big plastic claws and making a mint of it. So I just think we should copyright the entire database now.
Given what they've done to Nick Dinsmore last night on Raw, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Oh, I'm sure. But I think Lobster Warrior is actually better than Eugene.
Oh yeah. You can see it as a major feud. Maybe stick him in TNA with Shark Boy.
Exactly. You've got a great stable then.
Ready-made. Exactly. You throw in maybe, Bolton defender Mark Fish and Charlton defender Mark Fish, and you're sorted. Anyway, do you think that there's going to be a TW2 sometime down the line?
2005, I think there's probably be one. Sales so far have been quite good, and if they continue, then yes.
Is it going to be called TW2 or TW2000 or?
2005, I think, because if we did do it, I made a promise I won't release another full game until after this time next year, so people have got a full year of 2004.
I see.
So at the very most, it won't be till April, maybe summer 2005 if I did make it.
Any final comments or bits of information you want to let listeners know about? Anything that you don't feel I've covered very well?
Well, all I'll say is they should definitely check out the forums on quite a regular basis, because there are patches coming out, questions being answered, and you can find pretty much everything on there.
Excellent. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Total Extreme Warfare can be purchased at www.totalextremwarfare.com. You can check out all the information on the game, including downloading a 24-hour trial of the game to test it before you spend any money. So, again, thanks for coming on the show, Adam.
No problem.